Currently, I'm in Ohio with my family at the moment.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Have they all seen the movie?
Not everyone, but we're getting there.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are fantastic in this movie, just a total standout. I've seen it twice now. It's even better the second time. The premiere was the other night. Audiences start to see it, reception being fantastic. What does that feel like?
Yeah, I don't know specifics because I tell people I can't really read into that stuff. More for like self-preservation, like good or bad. It's just like, yeah. But overall, I hear it's going well and people like it. And, I think what it is, honestly, for us, making the film was very genuinely a wonderful experience. And it did come from a place of love making the film. And so the fact that it is being not just well received, but I think that energy is coming across the film. And I think people are receiving that. It's just affirming, right? That like, we're not crazy. Like that experience was like magical for us. And that is coming across. And it's lovely. I mean, it's everything you could hope for.
You can feel it watching it. Somebody said this, and I think it's the most accurate thing is like, I don't feel like I'm watching actors in a movie. I just feel like I'm watching these people exist in this world. Like you really get immersed in it.
Wow, that's wonderful. Wow.
To back it all the way up, when did you first hear they were recreating West Side Story? And how did your audition process begin?
At this point, okay, this is how I found out that they were doing it. It was, I was doing Dear Evan Hansen off-Broadway in New York. And Michael Greif, who's the director of that, is very good friends with Tony Kushner. And I think this was maybe previews or something, and Tony had come to see the show and came backstage and we were introduced, and Michael had said, oh, he's working on the new West Side Story. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Cool. Well, best of luck. And that was really it, and that was at this point 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then, gosh, maybe longer. I don't even know. It might have been like 6 years ago now at this point.
It's been a journey, yeah.
Yeah, that might have been a very long time ago. And I was leaving the show now, and Cindy Tolan's office called me in to audition. And I think my first tape was in February of 2018. And they called me back in like June, July to do another tape. And finally it was November, and I was doing an off-Broadway play at the time, and they were saying, hey, come on in and read for Steven. I just remember doing the play and going back, going to work that night and telling my castmates, like, I get to audition in front of Steven Spielberg tomorrow. Like, I was very excited about that. I wasn't, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna book this thing. I was like, I get to audition in front of the man himself. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I had met Steven once before he had came backstage, for Dear Evan Hansen when we were on Broadway, and he was lovely. He made a joke about, loving a ghost story, with that show and me. And so, but it was honestly the whole time, it wasn't ever something that I had thought was going to come into fruition.
It sounds like he had you in mind. So
well, maybe, I don't know. I think it's honestly one of those things I keep saying, like, I think we as a cast, especially the theater people, owe Cindy Tolan a big favor for that, because we're not movie stars. I keep using the term, we're like blue collar theater actors, what I mean? Like, we're well, maybe, but like I think it's interesting that Steven had went with theater actors to portray these roles and do that. And, personally, I owe Cindy, I think the props in terms of making sure that we were all on his radar.
I saw this quote yesterday from Spielberg. I think it was to Entertainment Tonight, where he said he was considering delaying the movie just so that you could be in it.
Yeah, there was potentially some complications. So I had shot a pilot at the time, and we didn't know whether or not the pilot was going to get picked up. I remember at that audition, after reading, he said, Mike, why don't you, stick around a little bit? And he pulled his chair up right next to me, and he said, so what's the deal with this pilot? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen with it. We just got done shooting it, and I don't know if it's going to get picked up. He kind of like looked at me and was like searching in my eyes. I think he was trying to see whether or not I was lying to him,
Right.
But I was like, I genuinely don't know. And later he told me, that he was advised to not, quote, fall in love with me because I wasn't going to be available. It was this kind of back and forth for months, really, from November. And then I was shooting a film in February in Atlantic City. And I got a call on a Friday from my agent saying they want you in rehearsal on Monday. And so that was it. And that's what started my rehearsal process. All of a sudden I was just in rehearsals for this thing. It was happening.
Damn. So I interviewed Steven Spielberg for the first time when I was in like my early 20s. I was so nervous. Wow. And he's like, I'm on a carpet. He starts walking towards me. I'm like, come on, Ash, like you can do this. You can do this. Yeah. And then as soon as he starts talking to you, it's like all the nerves just go away because he's so like just down to earth and easy to talk to. What was your experience like just kind of being around him, being in his orbit?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly, it is a little nerve-wracking at first, right? Because
and then he just disarms you.
Well, he's so giving, and he's so giving with his energy, and I think very loving, just a kind of a wonderful person, and has no like ego about him whatsoever, at the end, like it really, I think everything that he does, it comes from a genuine place of love. There's something just so wonderful and infectious about that. And he can't, I remember, starting that rehearsal process kind of, guarded and removed and that, and, he's just so open that, you can't help but let your guard down and want to bask in that energy. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be professional, and then a little bit, and I'd be like, okay, so Indiana Jones. Like,
yeah, totally, though, right? Like that's absolutely the case. Day 2 of shooting, I asked him, I was like, okay, you got to tell me, like, come on, give me the dirt, like tell me the stories, and it would be like that because he's at the end of the day, he's just a big nerd about this stuff too, and he loves doing it, and he loves telling those stories too because they are special experiences.
No, you're right. He is a nerd. I remember asking him, I was like, what's your favorite John Williams score that he was like Star Wars, and I was like, oh, like not your movie.
No, for sure, 100. At the end of the day, he just loves this, and it's so like genuine. There's nothing else about it, and he just wants to share that. He's wonderful.
So what did you ask him?
Day 2, I asked him about the scene in Raiders where Harrison Ford, is supposed to fight this guy with the twirling sword, and he just pulls his gun out and shoots him. And I was like, you got to tell me, because there's that famous story. And so he told me that, it was the night before, and Harrison had come down with food poisoning and kind of told Steven, I can only give you an hour because I am sick. And Steven jokingly kind of said, an hour, what do you want to do? Just pull your gun out and shoot the guy? And he said, that's kind of what I was thinking. And then he did this great Harrison Ford impression I'll never forget, because Steven was really nervous about Indiana Jones killing a man. And he said, I don't know, do you think we could get away with it? And he like did this thing, he like did jazz hands, and he's like, it's only a movie. And seeing Steven Spielberg do an impersonation of Harrison Ford was really awesome.
I need like a Get Back style documentary about West Side Story, just so we can get all the stories with everybody.
I think there's gonna be one, right? I think there is gonna be a West Side documentary coming.
Oh, really? So they were up filming around you guys and stuff?
The entire process.
That's awesome.
I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but he said it at the premiere, so I just assume it's out there.
It's fair game. It's out there. Did you have any moment like that with Riff, where you kind of alter something that he was supposed to do, or anything that you can think of?
I think what it was, working and shooting on the film, it really was just a collaborative kind of thing. It was a give and take, where I'd come up with something and from what Tony brought, and then Steven would add a layer to that, and then we would just kind of keep doing this, and then it just kind of became, we just played, we just kind of kept like doing this thing, and he was really open to that, and he welcomed it, and he wanted that, and I think someone else in his position wanting to tell this story in particular, would want to hold on more, would want to, not be so giving with the reins a little bit because of insecurities or nerves or whatever. But he was fully let go and let us play, which allowed him to play, and it just did this really wonderful thing.
So you're no stranger to like, intricate choreography, but in this one, there's some very specific things I was watching where I'm like, oh my gosh, like the cool choreography. I was like, how did they even pull this off? What was that like? Was that as tough as it looked?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It really was. Ansel and I were in rehearsals for that for 4 months, and I hadn't danced in like 10 years. I kind of gave that all up and said, I don't really.
You could never tell.
We got in shape is what we did. We got in shape, and that was really, Justin's choreography is so well thought out and a beautiful homage, I think, to Jerry Robbins, and also great in terms of propelling the story forward. And he did a wonderful job. And then his whole team really did a better job in terms of making Ansel and I look good and getting us into shape, because it took a lot of work to get us into shape. And we were in ballet class every morning with the rest of the company, who were very giving and, cheering us on to get better and do our best and support us. And I mean, yeah, we did a lot in order to get to at least, where we ended up. I'm sure we maybe could have done a little bit better if we both, had more time or whatever. But it was a process for sure to get us into shape to be able to pull that stuff off.
It was awesome. And like the gym sequence, just watching it the second time, kind of knowing what's coming. And I'm like, oh, I'm with my friend. I'm like, we're going to the gym. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Just going from the stage to the screen, what would you say is like the biggest adjustment that you had to make, or something that kind of stuck out to you as a difference?
There's not much of one, truthfully. It's the same game. It's just a different playground. I think the biggest thing is that when you're doing a show 8 times a week, you go home and you think about what you did, and you're kind of like, well, I get to try this again tomorrow. So that's okay. I get to try it again tomorrow.
Right.
And with film, it's like, cut, moving on. That's it. And you're kind of like, oh gosh. All right, well, I guess that's it, So it is that practice of letting go and, just kind of accepting and being like, yeah, that's it.
Can you watch yourself on screen?
Not really.
Yeah. I can't even watch
really
my own interviews back. I hate it.
Yeah, right? Like, no one likes to do it. People talk, however, about actors watching themselves, but no one likes to watch themselves. Come on.
No, we all hate our voices.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be a complete sociopath if you were.
You know what? I'm amazing.
Like, you know what? Great, go for it. But no, it's extremely difficult. You can't help but, I think, pick apart yourself.
Right. Yeah, we all do it. If you weren't an actor, what do you think you would be doing?
I'd be screwed. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be really screwed. Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're going to be screwed. I think we're going to see a lot of you going forward. So hopefully we'll get to do this again and again.
I hope so too. Yeah.
So nice talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I just love the movie so much.
Thank you, Ash. Thanks again.